Alright. It's been a minute since I've done an album review since last year, 2018. It's 2019 now. And this is my first review of the year. So strap up your Timberland boots because SMIF WESSUN is back. Tech and Steel with their new album, The All. This review is done on behalf of Audio Liquor Magazine. I have a slight cold, so sorry, and I apologize if I do any coughing during this review. I hope I don't sound like Walter White. I'm going to get into a brief history of SMIF WESSUN. I believe their first album came out in 1995, which was called The Shining. It is a highly regarded album. In some circles, they consider it a classic. One of my folks, he really loves this album. He's a DJ and he really thinks highly of this album. I believe SMIF WESSUN has like 6 albums and 1 EP. So that's not a lot of material. It's not a lot of music they put out to have been in the business for like 20 plus years. Their second album, The Rude Awakening, they had to change their name from SMIF WESSUN to the Cocoa Brothers, a name I never really cared for. I guess it was some meaning behind it. But they had to change the name due to the gun company SMIF WESSUN. Not too thrilled about them using their name. I don't know the legal ramifications of branding. I was always confused because the group SMIF WESSUN spells their group name different than the gun company. But when the third album came around, they went back to SMIF WESSUN. But it was a long break between the second and third album. Third album is named Reloaded. That didn't come out till years later. I'm talking about maybe like 6-7 years later. Maybe it was about that long. Their last full album was called Monumental, which was done with Pete Rock. Pete Rock did all the production, did all the beats, and that was a very solid album. I also liked the Reloaded album as well, and they had an EP that they put out, which was their previous project before this new one, which I never heard. So they're down with the Duck Down Records. They've been a part of Duck Down Records, which was a very independent label from the start, from the jump. And then the label got distribution through Priority Records. And that their clique was called the Boot Camp Clique. Their crew, which consists of Black Moon, which is Buckshot. Buckshot is the known person from Black Moon who did solo projects as well. Helter Skelter. Sean Price, aka Rock. They made up Helter Skelter. You had OGC, Original Gun Clappers. You had the Beat Miners, which was this team of producers. DJ Evil D, Mr. Walt. They did the majority of the production in the 90s and on to the 2000s. I think they went and got other producers when the 2000s rolled along for various projects, but the Beat Miners did the majority of the beats in the 90s. So I'm going to get into this review of The All. I'm not going to get into every song in detail. I'm just going to highlight some of the joints I like, that I appreciate, that stood out. The first track, The Education of SMIF WESSUN, is considered an intro, but it's like 3 and some seconds long. So it's more like a song than an intro to me. No hook. The production is nice. A good track to start off the album. Love the lyrics. It has a Louis Farrakhan speech at the end. And then the second track on the album is called Testify. Very short song. Like a minute and a few seconds. In some seconds. Tech and Steel, they go back and forth with lines, with rap lines, which you rarely hear nowadays. No hook. Short but very strong song. You have Ocean Drive, which features Music Soul Child singing on the hook, singing the break, singing the chorus. It features Rhapsody as well. This joint could and should get radio play. It's a feel-good song about having a nice drive with your significant other, spending quality time together, all that good shit. Everyone did their thing, but Rhapsody, she stood out. She got her man, no pun intended. You gotta let it go. Some hardcore street shit, gun talk, a solid beat. You have another track called Let Me Tell Ya, featuring Rick Ross. I was very surprised to hear Rick Ross featured on the SMIF WESSUN song. That was a pleasant surprise. This is some revolutionary music, tech and steel. They drop jewels here and there. Rick Ross killed it. He has a funny line, and I mean funny line in a good way. He said something like, I miss the old Kanye, can't fuck with these new lames. Can't fuck with this new lame, or something like that. I don't know it verbatim, but that's close enough. I thought that was a surprising jab at Kanye, and it was a funny line. Clever. And you have the song The All, which is spelled all is spelled capital A dot, capital L dot, capital L dot, which means arm, leg, or leg. This is a spiritual, do the knowledge joint. I would say this song had to grow on me, but I dig it now. I appreciate it more now that I listened to it several times. I wasn't too sure at the first listen of this joint. And you got another track called We Good, featuring GQ, featuring GQ, and it's featuring a young lady who sings called Heather Victoria. The song had to grow on me as well, but I like it now. Tech is still, they drop in life lessons. You have Heather Victoria kind of doing harmonies. She's not like singing on the chorus or the hook. She like doing harmonies throughout the whole beat and through the song. And you know the guy GQ, he does a nice job. Never heard of him before, but he was impressive on the joint. Got another joint called Stephala. I really dig the horns, head nod music. Tech and Steel, they go back and forth with lines. They bounce off each other very well. You got good chemistry. One of my favorite joints on here. Then you got another track called Illusions. They giving you knowledge. I dig the hook. It's really telling you don't get caught up in the fame and, you know, the likes and all the social media hype. I really dig it. And the production is handled by Knife Wonder and his Soul Council team. I was unable to find out who actually did which beat, because within the Soul Council you have like a producer named Crisis, and I forgot the other guy's name that's in that production team, and of course Knife Wonder. So I don't know who did what. The production for the most part is solid. It doesn't really jump out at you, but it's nice nonetheless. I will say it was like 3 songs I didn't care for. One track was called Dreamland, which featured Raekwon. I dig the lyrics. I love the content and what they were speaking on, the subject matter. But the beat was very bland. It was very, say, mediocre. Plain. It didn't stand out. Wasn't feeling it. Maybe it'll grow on me, but it hasn't to this point. I would say this album is an adult, contemporary, grown man street hop album. That's what I would label it. I salute SMIF WESSUN for being able to stay together as a duo or a group this long, 20 years plus, without breaking up. There's very few groups that can do that, that's made music Over the recent years, you have De La Soul that's never broken up. They've been together since the late 80s. You know, you got Camp Low, put out music not too long ago. They've been together since the 90s, never broken up. So that's very hard to do. You see groups, legendary groups, break up all the time. You know, you had Tribe Called Quest, who broke up and got back together. EPMD broke up and got back together. You know, you have the Locks, who never broke up, but they put out much more solo projects than they had group projects. And same with Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang has never really broken up, even though it was some conflict and beef between certain members, but they put out more solo projects than group projects. I mean, Ghostface alone has way more albums. I wouldn't say way more, but yeah, he probably has way more albums than the actual group Wu-Tang has. So with that being said, you know, UGK, Underground Kings, unfortunately, to the untimely passing of Pimp C, they don't have that long in the game. They don't have 20 plus years in the game due to his death. 8Ball and MJG, I don't believe they ever broke up, even though they put out solo projects. But I haven't heard from them in a long time. That's not to say they haven't put out no music, but I haven't heard anything in a very long time from them. And you know, Mobb Deep, I think they broke up for a short period of time. There was some conflict and beef. They was at odds. Havoc and Prodigy was at odds for a minute, and I believe they officially broke up. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe they had broke up for a short period of time before they got back together. So it's very hard to keep a group together. I was in two rap groups in the 90s, and both groups broke up before we even got on. Put out an album, a project, independently, locally, and then it fell apart. So it's hard to keep these groups and duos together, so I salute them again. And I would give this album a B. It's a solid B. I recommend you get it and buy it. You're not going to have to do a lot of skipping on there. It's 12 songs total. I believe it's like 3 songs that I didn't care for again. So go online and get that joint. And I'm done, I'm finished, and there it is.